Hello, this is Artsy Wisdom. My name's Diane. Thank you for coming by. We have so many things going on right now in the world, in the United States. I'm going to answer a couple of viewers' questions, and I'm going to do some short little tidbits on various subjects today. I'll just let you know right off the bat. Couple of them have to do with mysteries or crime situations. Mica Miller and John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe was his girlfriend, Karen Reed, is on trial for his death in Canton, Massachusetts. And I wanted to look again into his situation as I've done before. Mica Miller was a viewer's question, and so I looked at her energy and what was going on with her and her husband. And then I also looked into Trump's hush money trial to see what I think is going to jury deliberations tomorrow. Today's Monday, Memorial Day. And I wanted to see how that was going to go. So I looked into that. I also looked at Jack Smith was going to, I think he filed a motion for a gag order with Judge Aileen Cannon in regards to the documents case, the classified documents case. So I wanted to look into that and see how she was going to do with that. And in the past, she's kind of slow rolled a lot of stuff. So we'll see what happens there. And then on the world stuff, I looked into the sad situation in Haiti. I've looked into Haiti before. It's just been really difficult. And I checked in, and I'll let you know what I get. UK election, they are, Rishi Sunak called for I don't know if it's a quick election, but a general election in July 4th, our Independence Day, which is interesting. And so I looked into that. He's going against a Keir Starmer, I think, in the Liberal Party. And I also saw some things in regards to other countries around there and some other images. I'll share those with you. And then just briefly, I'll pop into Kate's health because I know they just announced that she's going to lay off any appearances or any public visits of that sort. And it made me a little nervous. Oh, I kind of wanted to look into her. Last time I saw, she was this lovely little white cake, and I felt really good. And I felt like she was getting better. So I'm going to check in there too. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's go. I'm going to start off with the Karen Reed trial. Supposedly, the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, has said that they think she hit him with her car. John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer, and he was well liked, and he had taken guardianship of his niece and his nephew when his sister had died, and her husband died a few months later. He took them in. Wonderful human. So without getting into too much detail, he, according to the state, Massachusetts, this is in Canton, Massachusetts, they say that she hit him. Well, previously when I did another video, I had seen he was in a fight. They had done a lot of drinking that night, these families. There's a bunch of families that intertwined. Many are police officers in Canton and Boston. Some of them are, they share kids on teams and different stuff. So many of them went out that night. And it's in January, and there was a snowstorm starting, and they went to one of the people's houses, the Boston cop, Brian Albert, and John was found on they went at midnight, and then John was found on his front lawn the next day with two big eyes and a crack in his head in the back, and one shoe was off. And I immediately thought, there's no way that hitting a man, even a big man, because he was a big guy, with your tail light, those taillights are meant to withstand a lot of impact. And I just felt like that was not enough. And then there's other people involved. But anyway, without getting into too much detail, I went into John's energy and to see if there was anything different. He did get in a fight. They had all went over there about midnight to this house, supposed to be relaxed and going over to the son's kind of birthday party, which wasn't a party. It was just a couple people there. But they were continuing their drinking. And something happened between the time he walked from the car that Karen Reed, the one who's on trial now, from the car, because she wanted to make sure, apparently, that she was invited too, because she didn't know these people very well. He went in and he never contacted her. And then that was it. That was the end. Supposedly, that's what she said. What I think happened is when I visualized is there was a fight. I think it was this Brian Albert, the owner of the home on which John was found near the road. And anyway, I think he was one involved. I think he was the main problem. They also had a German Shepherd that wasn't very friendly to other dogs. Because John had a lot of slashes on his arm. I think the dog was involved, and I think he came around back. There was something happening in the back, and it happened fast. A lot of alcohol, and I think he went into the basement, or something happened where he got hit in the head. I think they had weights, or they had something down there that hit him in the head, and there was, I think, another person they called upon, because I found out these cops sometimes have a black book where they have favors they give to people, and they keep track. And so if you need a favor, okay, this is what. So I think this guy who owned that house called in some favors and covered up his tracks. Family covered up. It's just very convoluted. I don't think Karen Reed had anything to do with it. She was drinking, and yes, she was driving, but I don't think she hit John at all. They weren't getting along great, and they might have had a fight, but I don't think she had anything to do with it. I think it's these guys and all they're covering up. So I just felt like he has a lot of defensive wounds. I feel like he was fighting. I felt this energy of him like being knocked out, kind of, where he wasn't dead, but he was vacant. And I do remember I remember feeling, because I don't think he thought he was going to die. I think he was in this argument, punch out thing. I don't know, that's not a word, punch out. But with this guy, and his Brian Albert, I guess, was kind of a friend, a pseudo friend. They only knew each other for a short time, but I think there was some issue with something. Anyway, alcohol. And this Brian Albert, I think, was an MMA fighter too, or he was a trained fighter. So the guy, John, didn't think he was going to die, but I do remember when the point where he does leave his body, which is later when he's on the snow, and it's maybe 3 or 4 in the morning, because they didn't find him till 5 something, closer to 6, that he was worried about his mother because she had lost her daughter and son-in-law recently, and his niece, the women. So the girl that he'd taken guardianship of, his niece, he also had the nephew, but he was worried about the mom and the niece, because the mother will have lost her son and daughter. So I got that from him, and I felt this personally for me, a deep sense of corruption and hiding, and to find the actual truth, it's going to be a long time. Nobody's going to say, hey, I did it, that's me. They're going to fight till the bitter end. And there's a lot of mothers involved, women, wives of these cops and neighbors and things. They're covering up for their children, a couple of the kids that might be involved. And I think, as a mom does, do anything for their kid. And I think that's what's going on. I think eventually they'll find out. Yeah, I think eventually Karen Reed should be acquitted. And I think she will be. So I just wanted to share that John's experience, because he was concerned about his mom and his niece. And it's sad. Okay. On to another mystery crime situation. Mica Miller. I had one of my viewers ask about Mica, and I don't know anything about this lady or this young woman. Apparently her husband's a pastor. I don't know if he's on TV or he's just in a bigger church, and they were married. But immediately I saw her hands in prayer like this, and he was wrapping them in, like, wrapping her wrists, holding them there. And I felt her crying. They say she had unalived herself with a gun. Okay. But what I saw, and this may be symbolic, maybe more than literal, but I saw him wrapping her wrist and she's crying. It's almost like she's powerless. And I think she had asked for a divorce. And I don't think she would have committed suicide, honestly. I feel like he kept her, not force feeding her, but he was feeding her food. And I think it was laced with something. And that might be symbolic of him drugging her. But I felt like that was part of the plan, is that he wanted to drug her so she wouldn't be difficult. But I found it very symbolic of her hands in prayer, the wrists bound, her wrists bound, and he wanted her compliant. I believe I've seen videos where she's walking around and she gets a gun and does different things prior to her murder or her unaliving. But I felt like if you look at the videos, she looks drugged. And that's the feeling I got. She is not in her right mind. So I know as a person may want to take their own life, they may not think, they're not thinking straight. But I don't feel like that was it. I felt like it was a twisted way that she was forced to feel like, I don't know if he constantly gave her medication or what, but that's the feeling I got at the end. That's the feeling I got. And I saw him, I'm not laughing, but he's like Captain Morgan or Superman, is he wanted to be a hero. He wants to be the superhero. And I don't know if that's being a pastor of this larger than life church, but he needs to be big and be a superhero and look like he's saving lives or he's saving people. That's important to him. Maybe that's a narcissistic angle that he's, living, or maybe, but that's the feeling I get. And he, like I said, he force feed her. She's crying, may not know what he's doing. I felt like a tad psychopathy or psychopathic. I felt like he's out of his body, out of his emotions. He doesn't have the ability to connect with what's happening. And she trusts him. Yes, she has inklings. This is prior to this situation. She trusts him, but she knew things were happening, but she didn't want to believe it. And I think she was at the point now where she asked for a divorce. And I think he had to do something about it. And then it reminded me of Gabby Petito and is it Brian Landry or Landing, the couple that were traveling all over the country, and she was a big YouTube person and they looked really close. We found out that he strangled her, killed her, and then I think eventually took his own life while they were out. But it was like that same vibe, like they were enmeshed. She semi-trusted him, but she was ready to make a change, and he wouldn't have it. It's that same kind of vibe, which I'm sure is very similar to a lot of DV's situations and relationships. But that's the kind of vibe I got. He's very insecure, this pastor person, John Paul Miller, I think. He's very insecure. And he hid a bunch of stuff. That's the other thing I'm getting from her, is that he hid a bunch of stuff. And she's haunting him now. She's coming at him, and she's following him around in life. And it says I got that she's trying to make him crazy. She's trying to make him feel bad and make him understand what he did was wrong. Yeah. So, but I do feel like so Neptune, let me just switch a little bit. Astrology. Neptune rules creativity, addiction, things that are secret, kind of a Pisces planet. Also things artistic, religious, like monks, nuns, people going into a deep state of connection with spirit. That's on the higher end. The lower end is deception, sneakiness, illusion, drug addiction, that sort of thing. So because he's a pastor, that's in that category. And I think he kind of swam around in there, and I think he went to the dark side. That's what I'm saying. I know they say she unalived herself. I think he had mostly to do with it. I don't feel like there's an arrest anytime soon. Oh, yeah, I saw him. I'm sorry, I keep touching this. I saw him shooting images on his screen in his church. I saw him showing big images like, look at this, look at this. And I think that was symbolic of him like, don't look at this, look over here. This is what you're supposed to focus on. Not that, over here. And, but the big thing was he wanted to feel like a hero, a superhero, like he was saving people and wanted to be seen and be of value. He's really insecure. Okay, let's move on to Haiti and the nightmare situation there. In the past, I've said the colonization, the fighting, the history of Haiti, there's blood in the dirt. It's embedded. And this gang violence, this time of corruption, is a continuation of that feeling. It is almost as if the Haitians don't know or they can't remember how to be free of that. So there's many people, there are lovely humans there that are kind and kind-hearted and good people, but it's like the cartels in Mexico and other places where there's gang violence. It just gets more and more embedded. I've said in the past that it's going to take an outside entity like a government, another country's government, to come in and at least temper the gang violence. There's a couple of missionaries, a husband and wife from, I want to say Missouri, Oklahoma, I'm sorry. They were killed by gang violence there. And that is what triggered me to think that more countries outside of Haiti, the US, UK, France, other countries that have people there, or other countries that are willing to put some of their military there to help keep people safe. There are some Americans, even though I think they've been asked to leave, there are people there from all over the world, and it's unsafe. And I also felt this feeling of American soldiers dropping from helicopters and getting in there and knocking some heads around or more to show them that they can't do that. Especially, I mean, and I know it's violence with violence, but there has to be a change. Now, I don't think that change is imminent. I don't feel like it is. And unfortunately, and I'm sorry about that, I don't feel there's a big change that's imminent. I do feel like I do feel like a military leader will rise up amongst all of these gangs and cartels. And I know it's counterintuitive, but somebody with a heavy hand will bring stability to the country. Not like we think of stability. Not like storefronts and everybody's getting along and everybody has a chance for education and nobody's getting killed in the streets. It's not like that. It's more of maintaining some of these gangs and keeping them at bay. There will be a military leader that's going to come up, and I can't give you a time frame. I'm sorry. But I feel like that is the only hope for now. I know it's not great. And that person will not be of good morals, but they will be a leader, and they will put the kibosh on some of this random violence. and they won't mind taking care of people or taking care of gangs if they get out of hand. It's like that. So, it'll be semi-stable. Like I said, I don't know when, but nothing, I think, in the foreseeable future. Like, I feel months even before that happens. I'm sorry. Poor Haitians are just, there's a lot of good people there. And I've also said this in the past, to pray for them. There's a lot of people with good hearts that want the best for Haiti. And if we can send them our strength and visualize them growing in power little by little from a distance, that might be something we can do. It's just a very, very horrific situation. The UK, like I said, they're going to have an election in July 4th. Oh, and before I forget, would you please subscribe? I forgot to mention that earlier. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all those YouTube-y things. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And yeah, and I love your questions. So please continue to add your questions in the comment section. I don't always get to them right away, but I try to get to all of them. Thank you. Okay, so they're having the new election in July 4th, and I guess according to what I've read is that the King and William have stopped all their appearances and stopped activities because they want to keep the election on, in a neutral territory, so there's no input either way. Now, I saw that Rishi Sunak, I know he's a Conservative Party leader, and also the new person from the Liberal, Keir Starmer. And I went into my meditation, as I do with all of these different images. I saw the UK as, it's an island, and I saw these stakes, like a stick, like a post, but a metal stick, all the way around the entire island. And I saw the immigrants who are trying to get in illegally or legally on boats from where many times I see it's from Africa, through Africa, from Africa, from that area. I see the island, them hitting those like fence posts or those spikes and kind of swirling around and having to bounce off, kind of like a boomerang, and going off all these different areas. So what that tells me is there's a lot of activity on the shores of all of this country, and these fence posts are blocking some of the entries. And I think what I got from that is that has to do with the Conservative Party trying to be really hard on immigrants right now because they want to look better for the election. That's what I think. That's the feeling I got. I do feel like people want to change there. And I think they're tired of the Conservative Party. They just want something different. And it's like anything. You think, well, grass is greener. I'm going to try that over there. So I do think the Labour Party will get in. This Keir Starmer. It's a little bit of a, after he does, I sense a little bit of a, I don't want to say chaos is a little strong, but a little bit of movement and a lot of activity where people don't know where they're going. And I don't know if it's government positions, but there's a lot of movement and it feels a little uncontrolled. Yeah. But I think it's his time, that person's time, that Keir's. And then I also saw that I've seen in the past is UK or the island of England, the British Isle, is a man, a stereotypical English person from long ago with a top hat and a suit. And now, in the past, I've seen him in all different varieties, really run down and with scrappy clothes, and other times he's very put together but nervous. This time, guess what? He's in a gentleman's club. He's smoking a pipe. He's feeling really powerful. He's feeling really good. So I take this as the wealthier class getting some money. I take this as, and you guys can tell me if I'm completely off base, the economy doing well for the upper class right now. And so I got that impression, was that he's got his pipe. He's in this, gentlemen's club, no women allowed, but it's only, you have to pay to get in there, and it's very high end. And he's reading his paper in a wingback chair, and he's feeling very good about himself. So that's the feeling I got, is that the upper class, or the people that have the most money, are doing well, but the lower end people are needing to get their voice. And that's the other thing. That's right today. These keep changing. These images change all the time. And I've seen that guy in the past. I also saw this, which I don't know what this means, but when I looked at the Netherlands, I saw this kind of light or white bridge. It goes from the Netherlands over to the UK, the island. And it's pretty solid. And it's like a connection. Excuse me. I don't know if it's the economy or the immigration or some sort of trade, export-import thing. I don't feel like it's that. It's like a relationship. That's what it is. It's a relationship between the Netherlands and the UK. I don't know much about that. I know the Netherlands is a very old country. So is the UK. So there's Britain. So I see it's wide, though. It's pretty wide. So it's not a little skinny thing. And I feel like they're connected. Like they're connected on both ends. So it's not going anywhere. It's like a bridge. So right now, maybe this summer, Netherlands and the UK are doing some mutually beneficial back and forth. And it's a relationship. And I don't know if it's in the public. I mean, maybe it's a governmental thing, but I feel like it's a constant or something in the system. Not sure. But it was good. It felt good. It felt like they were helping England, and England, it's like mutually beneficial. Okay. So the next area that I'm going to look into is Trump's trial. Tomorrow, they're going to have the closing arguments, I believe, and then it's going to go to the jury deliberations. And I do feel he'll be convicted, and there will be some felonies there. I think there will be a couple indictments that they won't convict him on. I think there's 34 in this arrest or this indictment. And I think he's going to avoid a few of the felonies, but misdemeanors for the bookkeeping or avoiding. And then there'll be a couple felonies. Now, the judge, like I've said in the past, will be very, very careful on what he does for punishment for this crime. Trump is going to use this as a badge of honor. It's almost like you can see him waving a flag, not an American flag, but a look at me. They're treating me this bad. They've always wanted me out. See, so he's going to use that to get money. He will be punished, but he will be out on appeal for a long time. He's going to appeal this decision, this conviction, and he's going to keep it in the courts for a while. So I think that's going to eliminate the issue with him being on the ballot, at least until September or October, when it's going to get serious. And I think he's going to have to make a decision, or the Republican Party, the GOP, will have to make a decision. And I said this in the past too. He'll be on the ballot, but it's going to be wild. There'll be extra people, or there'll be write-ins, or he won't win everybody, just so you know. I just want you to know. Don't worry. Those of you who are Trumpists, I'm sorry. We are in this channel, so if you don't like it, I'm sorry. That's how it goes. Oh yeah, Eileen Cannon. Now, Jack Smith and the federal prosecutors that are going after Trump for the documents cases in Florida, and she's indefinitely delayed the trial. Judge Eileen Cannon, forth a motion for gag order because Trump has been bad-mouthing the prosecutors, bad-mouthing the agents that went to his house and took the documents, saying, I could have been killed. They were really aggressive, and he's putting forth all of these statements which will encourage his followers to get possibly violent towards federal agents, prosecutors, and that sort of thing. So Jack Smith put a motion forth to put a gag order on him. I think that she will say okay to that, believe it or not, right now. I think she will say there'll be a limited gag order for Trump. She's going to do that. Eileen Cannon, the judge. She'll enforce it, but mildly. That's the feeling I got. Oh, this is a quick little thing. I forgot about it. I looked at my notes. So in the past video, I think it was, or 2 videos ago, I looked at Alec Baldwin and I pulled cards. And I find that when I meditate and I get in a deeper state, alpha, delta, theta. And I think that's where I get my information. Alpha. So I'm a little too right here. But I do feel like there is going to be a change. So I meditated on that a little bit. The Rust decision to not dismiss his case that he submitted, Alec Baldwin, for the Rust manslaughter case against him. And I saw the judge determined. I saw her very pro-prosecution. I felt like she leaned towards them, even though they were kind of haphazard with their indictment and they were up and down about it. I feel like she gave him the benefit of the doubt more than Alec Baldwin. The judge, I feel like she's pulling up a wagon up a hill. She's doing it. If it was another judge, I think might not. I'm not saying she's corrupt. I just think her viewpoint is somebody needs to take ownership or responsibility for this situation. And I think she's fine with him coming to court and, taking responsibility and accountability for what happened on the Rust set and the gun going off, because he was the producer, one of the producers. And so what I did see is that the prosecution will change some of their poorly written or poorly thought out processes that they're going to bring to court. They may change it up. In the past, I thought it would be ending in the dismissal, but I don't. And the other option was that they were going to change it up. This is what's going to happen, I think, is the prosecution. They already have the indictment and they've written it out, but I think they're going to modify it by July. I think the court case or its trial date is set for July. I don't know exactly when. But they're going to change it. They're going to be ready. They're going to be more organized. And I think they're going to eliminate some things. They're going to make it more streamlined. That's the feeling I get. I think Alec Baldwin's going to find another reason to try to get the case dismissed between now and then. Now for this little tidbit about Kate. In the past I saw her as a little white cake. So much better than in the past, but she was very thin, pink fondant. Now when I imagine her, I still see the little white cake, but she's getting more transparent. She still is tall and still visible, but I was like, why is she becoming transparent or translucent? I guess it would be more like it, not transparent. And what I got was that she wants to be translucent or transparent. She does not want to be seen. As a person who took chemotherapy, your hair falls out and you feel like shit and you have very uneven days and weeks. And I think in her situation, I have a deep sense of emotional adjustment, of grief. Grief meaning she didn't expect her life to go this way. Grief meaning you have to adjust to the idea of mortality. Grief meaning her family may have to shift. She may not be able to do things with William, not be able to show up in places that she wants to show up. It's a very complex experience having cancer, even though it sounds like hers is just preventative for future problems, because I'm guessing she just had a few cells or they noticed a little bit here and there. So they're doing it as a preventative. But still, the word cancer is very scary. So I think that's what's happening. She may have lost her hair. I don't know what, some chemos you don't. So I've always said I think it's in her left side, her intestinal area, colon. She may have a colostomy bag. It may be something like that. So there may be some delayed recovery. And they are doing the best they can for her. And I do think she's working behind the scenes. I think it's just being out in the public. It's beyond exhausting for her. So she's needing to lay back and do what she can from the background or behind the scenes. I think she's going to be fine. I think she's going to come back, but it's going to be a slow process. Yeah. But yeah, I saw that little cake kind of disappearing. And I don't feel like she's disappearing like she's dying. So don't look at that. I just feel like she's disappearing. She doesn't want to be seen. I do think she needs more. There for a while, they were giving her supplements or extra vitamins or some sort of treatment or therapeutic thing. And I feel like they need to do that again. And they're going to do it again. There's something happening health-wise where she's just she needs more support, more strength. Yeah. Poor girl. Anyway, so there we are. Thank you for coming by and riding this little train with me to the end. And I appreciate you all. And until next time, take care.